The industry has always known that 50 Cent doesn't just play the game. He breaks the board, but his latest move has sent shockwaves through Atlanta's royalty. We aren't talking about a simple Twitter spat or a lighthearted jab. No, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson is reportedly pulling back the curtain on one of the most protected families in hip-hop, T.I. and Tiny Harris. Specifically, he's shining a spotlight on Zonnique, a move that has many wondering if 50 has finally crossed an unwritten line of street code. The documentary-style expose allegedly dives deep into the cracks of the grand hustle empire. For years, T.I. has portrayed the image of the ultimate protector, the King of the South, who keeps his family under a watchful, sometimes controversial. But 50 Cent is questioning the price of that protection. Why now? And what exactly did 50 discover in the archives of industry secrets that made him target Zonnique? This isn't just about gossip. It's about a decades-long rivalry between two titans of the 2000s era. While T.I. was building a family brand on reality TV, 50 Cent was building a television empire based on power and betrayal. Now, those two worlds are colliding. 50 is hinting at untold truths regarding Zonnique's upbringing, her career moves, and the reality behind the scenes of those lavish birthday parties and perfect family moments. Is this 50 Cent being a master marketer for his next project? Or has he stumbled upon a narrative that T.I. has spent millions trying to suppress? As the footage rolls and the receipts are laid out, the hip-hop community is holding its breath. One thing is certain. When 50 Cent decides to expose someone, he doesn't just bring a match, he brings a flamethrower. Get ready, because the untold truth is about to redefine everything. You thought you knew about the Harris family, the world knows. T.I. as the King of the South. A man who redefined the Atlanta rap scene and built an empire on the pillars of family and hustle. But in the eyes of Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, every kingdom has its cracks, and every king has secrets buried beneath the throne. This documentary begins not with a headline, but with a pattern of control, image manufacturing, and the silent struggle of a young woman caught in the middle. Zonnique. 50 Cent has never been one to respect the unspoken rules of the industry. While most peers would turn a blind eye to family dynamics, 50 operates like a forensic investigator with a grudge. His primary claim? That the Harris family brand, which dominated reality TV for a decade, was a meticulously crafted facade designed to mask a much darker reality of internal suppression. And at the heart of this suppression was Zonnique, Tiny Harris's eldest daughter and T.I.'s stepdaughter. To understand the weight of 50 Cent's untold truth, we first have to look at the atmosphere of the Harris household. For years, the public viewed T.I. as the ultimate patriarch, protective, wise, and deeply involved. However, 50 Cent's narrative suggests that this protection was actually a sophisticated form of surveillance. He alleges that Zonnique wasn't just being raised, she was being managed from the moment she joined the Oh My God girls. 50 claims the trajectory of her life was hijacked by T.I.'s obsession with legacy. It wasn't about her music. It was about maintaining the grand hustle dynasty. 50 Cent points to the stark contrast between how T.I. handled his sons versus how he handled Zonnique. While the boys were often given the freedom to find themselves in the streets or the studio, Zonnique was kept under a metaphorical microscope. 50's documentary dives into the gilded cage theory, the idea that Zonnique was provided with every luxury imaginable, but only as long as she adhered to the strict script written by her stepfather. The documentary takes an explosive turn when it addresses the 2016 airport incident. For those who don't remember, Zonnique was arrested at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport for carrying a weapon. At the time, the family spun it as a simple mistake, a young woman being cautious. But 50 Cent asks the question the media was too afraid to ask. Why did a 20-year-old girl living in a multi-million-dollar mansion with private security feel the need to carry a concealed firearm? 50 suggests that the protection T.I. claimed to provide was either non-existent or worse, so suffocating that Zonnique felt she needed her own protection within her own world. Through a series of alleged industry receipts and whispers from former Grand Hustle insiders, Part 1 reveals that the tension between Zonnique and T.I. wasn't just about typical teenage rebellion. It was about an identity crisis. 50 Cent highlights how T.I.'s public persona, the philosopher king who speaks on social justice, often clashed with the street-level drama that followed the family. He alleges that Zonnique was often the one left to clean up the emotional mess when the camera stopped rolling. The flow of this exposure moves into the financial aspect of their relationship. 50 Cent, ever the businessman, questions the family hustle economics. He hints that Zonnique's earnings from her early career were tied up in family ventures that she had little to no control over. The untold truth here is that Zonnique wasn't just a daughter, she was an asset. And in the world of 50 Cent, when you become an asset to a king, you lose your rights as an individual. The documentary also touches on the psychological toll. 50 Cent discusses the double standard that Zonnique had to navigate. She had to be the perfect daughter for the VH1 cameras, while witnessing the chaotic legal battles and infidelity rumors that plagued her parents' marriage. 50 argues that T.I. used Zonnique's wholesome image to balance out the family's more controversial headlines. Whenever T.I. or Tiny were in the hot seat, a family-centric story involving Zonnique would magically appear in the press. As we dig deeper into the first 1,000 words of this saga, the narrative shifts toward the cracks in the armor. 50 Cent notes that Zonnique's social media presence began to change. The smiles looked forced, the captions became cryptic, and the distance between her and the king began to grow. 50 claims he saw this coming years ago. He compares it to his own public fallout with his son. But with a twist, "I'm honest about my mess," 50 says in an alleged commentary. T.I. hides his mess behind big words and a suit. This first part of the documentary establishes a chilling premise that Zonnique Pullins has been living a scripted life since she was a child, and T.I. was the ultimate director. 50 Cent's goal is to tear up that script. He's not just attacking T.I., he's claiming to liberate the truth about how the Harris Empire really operates behind the scenes. The segment closes with a look at the code of silence that exists in Atlanta's elite circles. Many people knew about the friction, but no one wanted to cross T.I. except for 50 Cent. Concludes part by revealing that he has spoken to people who were in the room during the most heated arguments between T.I. and Zonnique that weren't about curfews, but about Zonnique's right to her own voice. The stage is now set. The king has been challenged, the daughter's silence has been contextualized, and the truth bomb is midair. This isn't just gossip, it's an autopsy of a hip-hop dynasty. As the music swells and the screen fades to black for part 1, the audience is left wondering if this is what 50 Cent is willing to say in the opening act. What happens when he gets to the really dark stuff? We will dive into the infamous Hymengate scandal, the real reason Zonnique moved out, and how 50 Cent claims T.I. tried to sabotage her relationship with Bonhunta Izzy to maintain his grip on her life. The war for the untold truth has only just begun. Picking up where the tension left off, part of this documentary dives into the moment the world realized that the family hustle wasn't just a show, it was a regime. 50 Cent's exposure pivots here from general industry whispers to the specific viral scandals that T.I. couldn't use a thesaurus to hide from. The most glaring piece of evidence 50 brings to the table: the infamous Hymengate incident. In 2019, T.I. made headlines for all the wrong reasons when he admitted on a podcast that he accompanied Zonnique to the gynecologist every year to check her seal. While the internet erupted in disgust, 50 Cent's documentary alleges that this wasn't an isolated lapse in judgment. According to 50, this was the public manifestation of a private obsession with control. He claims that Zonnique's life was subject to purity politics that were less about fatherly care and more about maintaining her value as a clean asset to the family brand. 50 Cent argues that T.I. viewed Zonnique's autonomy as a threat to the empire's reputation. The flow of this section explores the silent aftermath of that scandal. While Zonnique eventually gave a diplomatic response in interviews, 50 Cent brings forward insider insights, suggesting that this was the breaking point. The documentary highlights that Zonnique's move toward independence wasn't just a natural progression of Agit, was an escape mission. 50 Cent alleges that behind closed doors, the King of the South used financial leverage to keep Zonnique from speaking out. He questions the allowances and trust funds, suggesting they were used as leashes rather than gifts. 50 Cent then turns the camera toward the relationship between Zonnique and her mother, Tiny. He explores a complex narrative where Tiny, caught between her husband's dominance and her daughter's freedom, often had to play the role of the buffer, but 50 Cent doesn't let Tiny off the hook. He suggests that the untold truth involves the parents' own legal and marital scandals, specifically the 2021 allegations and how they used Zonnique as a human shield to maintain a family-first image during their darkest hours. Whenever the headlines got too heavy for T.I. and Tiny, they would pivot to Zonnique's pregnancy or her successes, effectively using her life to distract from their own controversies. The script moves into the war of the boyfriends. 50 Cent meticulously breaks down T.I.'s reaction to Zonnique's relationship with rapper Bonhunta Izzy, while T.I. played the role of the protective father on camera. 50 alleges that the real issue was Izzy's refusal to kiss the ring. T.I. reportedly saw Izzy as an outsider who was poisoning the well of his control. 50 Cent draws a direct line between T.I.'s disapproval and his fear that Zonnique would finally have someone in her ear telling her that her family's dynamic wasn't normal. This part of the documentary also looks at the grand hustle finances. 50 Cent, known for his get-rich-or-die-trying mentality, scrutinizes the paperwork. He alleges that Zonnique's career as a solo artist was intentionally slowed down, so she wouldn't become too successful to leave the family umbrella. By keeping her career dependent on his connections and his production teams, T.I. ensured that Zonnique could never truly fire him as her manager or mentor as the narrative reaches a fever pitch. 50 Cent introduces the digital receipts. He analyzes the shift in Zonnique's music, moving from the bubblegum pop of her youth to more soulful, introspective R&B. He claims that the lyrics in her later songs are actually coded messages about her life under T.I.'s roof. Songs about being over it or finding herself aren't just radio tracks. They are, according to 50, a diary of a woman who was being suffocated by a legacy she never asked for. The psychological weight of this section focuses on the good daughter syndrome. 50 Cent argues that Zonnique was trapped in a cycle of trauma bonding with her parents. Because they provided her with fame and wealth, she felt she owed them her soul. 50 Cent's documentary aims to break that bond by showing the audience that the wealth was a cage and the fame was a distraction. The segment ends with a shocking allegation. 50 Cent claims to have evidence of a legal gag order, or a set of internal family contracts that Zonnique was pressured to sign. Once she turned 21, these documents purportedly prevented her from ever disparaging the Grand Hustle name or revealing the truth about the family's private life in any future memoirs or interviews. As part draws to a close, the energy is one of pure betrayal. We have moved from the perfect family to a family business where the children are employees, and the father is a CEO who refuses to let anyone quit. 50 Cent leaves the audience with a chilling thought. What happens to a bird when it realizes the cage door was open the whole time, but its wings were clipped by its own father? In the final part, we will look at the ultimate showdown. We'll see how 50 Cent's truth bomb has forced a rift between T.I. and the industry, the current status of Zonnique's relationship with the king, and the final verdict on whether the Harris Empire can survive the exposure. The untold truth is about to reach its explosive conclusion. The final chapter of this explosive documentary isn't just about scandals, it's about the total collapse of a carefully constructed myth. As 50 Cent brings his investigation to a close, he shifts the focus from the past to the present, exploring the aftermath of his truth bomb. The question isn't just about what happened, it's about what remains of the Harris Empire now that the world has seen behind the curtain. 50 Cent argues that the untold truth about T.I. and Zonnique is the final nail in the coffin for the King of the South's moral authority. In this concluding segment, 50 Cent breaks down the new reality. He highlights the undeniable distance that has grown between Zonnique and the Grand Hustle brand. While they may still appear together for holiday photos or curated social media posts, 50 points to the energy gap. He alleges that Zonnique's decision to build her own life with Bonhunta Izzy and her daughter was the ultimate act of defiance. She didn't just leave the house, she left the ideology. 50 mocks T.I.'s attempt to remain relevant in Zonnique's narrative, claiming that the king is now a man without a country. Watching his favorite asset thrive without his permission, the documentary takes a deep dive into the industry's reaction. 50 Cent, a master of psychological warfare, explains why he chose this moment to strike. He suggests that, for years, Atlanta's music scene was governed by a hustler's omerta, a code of silence where family business stayed in the family, no matter how toxic. But by exposing the friction between T.I. and Zonnique, 50 has broken that code. He presents evidence that other industry figures are now feeling, emboldened to speak out about the gatekeeping and image policing that T.I. allegedly practiced for decades. A significant portion of Part 3 focuses on the legacy of the family hustle. 50 Cent asks a poignant question. Was it worth it? He looks at the reality TV curse that has plagued so many families before them. He argues that by monetizing Zonnique's childhood, T.I. and Tiny traded her privacy for ratings. 50 claims to have insider receipts showing the emotional toll this took on Zonnique as she transitioned into adulthood. He alleges that she spent years in reputation rehab trying to undo the daddy's girl image that T.I. forced upon her so she could be taken seriously as a woman and an artist. Then comes the money trail. 50 Cent, never one to ignore the bottom line, looks at the current state of grand hustle. He suggests that the empire is hemorrhaging respect. Without the perfect family narrative to sell to networks and advertisers, the brand is exposed as just another struggling record label. 50 posits that Zonnique's liberation is actually the biggest threat to T.I.'s financial future. If the children, the very stars of the brand, don't believe in the king anymore, why should the public? The documentary reaches its emotional peak when 50 Cent discusses Zonnique's silence. He interprets her refusal to engage in a public war of words with 50 as a sign of validation. When someone is lying on you, you scream. 50 says in the scripted commentary, when someone is telling the truth, you just keep your head down and keep moving. Frame Zonnique as the victor in this story, a woman who survived a velvet prison and came out the other side with her own family and her own identity as the final words unfold. 50 Cent turns his sights back on T.I. He analyzes the king's recent public speeches and social media rants, labeling them as the desperate gasps of a man losing his grip on his narrative. 50 Cent doesn't just want to expose T.I., he wants to replace him as the voice of truth in the culture. He warns that the Harris era is over, and what's left is a cautionary tale about what happens when you try to own your children instead of raising them. Final untold truth revealed in the closing minutes is the most chilling. 50 Cent hints at a future project, perhaps a book or a legal investigation where the full extent of the financial manipulation within the Harris family will be laid bare. He suggests that Zonnique is just the first to break away, and that more revolutions are coming from within the family ranks. The documentary ends with a powerful, high-definition montage of Zonnique, today independent, focused, and away from the grand hustle, shadow contrasted with old footage of her as a child being directed on the family hustle set. 50 Cent's final voiceover is a masterclass in wit and grit. You can call yourself a king. You can call yourself a hustler, but at the end of the day, the truth is the only thing that doesn't need a script. The Harris family had a great run, but the credits are finally rolling. As the screen fades to black, we are left with a deep sense of finality. This journey has taken us from the hidden struggles to the private controversies, and finally, to the falling empire. 50 Cent hasn't just told a story. He has performed a deep examination of a famous legacy. The hidden story is finally out. Now, for T.I. and Zonnique, things will never be the same again. The curtain has been pulled back on the Grand Hustle brand. But now that the evidence is on the table, the real question is, whose side are you on? Do you think 50 Cent is finally speaking the facts that the industry was too scared to share? Or is this just a clever move against a longtime rival? Is Zonnique finally finding her own voice? Or is the Harris family history being unfairly judged? We want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with the word facts if you think 50 Cent is doing the right thing. Or type hustle if you are still supporting T.I. Let's get the discussion going in the comments. I will be hearting the best ideas. If you enjoyed this deep look into the hidden truth, do us a favor. Click that like button to help this video reach more people. Hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell. You don't want to miss our next celebrity series. We have more stories and more evidence coming very soon. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next chapter. And remember, the truth doesn't need a script. We will see you in the next one.